Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of Gate 7 International. I will be your host for tonight, Kostas Llanos, or Kostas with a K, and I am joined by none other than my fellow co-hosts, my fellow hosts, Kostas Levoyanis, or Kostas with a C, and of course, Dimitris Quimtsidis. Guys, good afternoon, good evening.
Hi, Costa with a K and Costa with a C.
Afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are.
I would ask you how you are, but I have a feeling we're gonna get into this real soon. But of course, before we get into any of tonight's action, we have a lot to say. If you haven't done so already, or if you're just joining the channel and you're new, please do not forget to like and subscribe, and also share. Sharing is caring. If you could share this clip on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, we are everywhere, guys. So please do like and subscribe, as it helps the algorithm, and it helps spread the word to the entire global Olympiacos community. And if you would like, we would love to have you on Patreon. You could join us for some exclusive content, some never before seen clips, some very, very exclusive clips, whether that's interviews that are coming up, whether that is Aris's amazing deep dives. We are expecting at least two more signings, and Aris will be sharing all the things that no one shares, especially across Greek media. So do join us on patreon.com/gate7intl. That is patreon.com/gate7intl. Well, guys, I guess that brings us to our to what we saw tonight. In normal circumstances, we would be celebrating an incredible 3-2 victory that would have seen Olympiacos coming back from a two-goal deficit to beating a very strong AEK team 3-2, and it would have been an amazing comeback story. But alas, the referee, VAR, someone else had other plans, another opinion. A clear goal by Georgios Masouras disallowed, and then an even clearer penalty from Callens on Fran Navarro was disallowed as well. A lot more things happened after the whistle, but let's take it one thing at a time. I will start with you there, Costa. I would love to have your opinion on the match and what you saw.
First of all, Happy New Year. I haven't been on the show for a while, so I want to wish Happy New Year to all our followers. Thanking everyone for our support wherever you are. You're the reason we keep this going. We will have Olympiacos. The mission of this podcast is always to spread the love, make more Olympiacos fans around the world, and bring together Olympiacos fans from all over the world. So Happy New Year to everyone that's tuning in, and wishing you all good health above all else, and enjoy. Now, wasn't so much of a joyous occasion today, although I have to say, after the Lamia game, I really wasn't expecting much today. All I was expecting going into today's game was that the players give some sort of response, because I was even hesitant as to what they could actually give, what they were able to give today. I think that most Olympiacos fans would be reasonably happy with what they saw in terms of some grit, aggression on the pitch, some aggressive fouls that we made in the first half. Rodinei, Heze, Navarro up front. I liked his pressure on the AEK defense. It's something we couldn't see with Jovetic playing previously. So I think Fran Navarro is a player that I would like to see in a healthy Olympiacos team, ideally. But this is what it is. In terms of how the game's gone today, I mean, there's one thing I disagree with you, Costa, in what you said earlier, is that there's no guarantee that we would have won the game. The penalty and the goal that were disallowed, they were in the 67th, 70th minute, around then. I don't even remember.
There's also no guarantee we wouldn't have won.
No, exactly. But that's so like it's not like we would have won the game, but we'll never know because the game wasn't played on fair terms, and that's what's infuriating. Let them play. Let them play. If like, how can it be? All of Greece, and this is going viral across the world now. They see the Masouras goal, they see the penalty, and the ref doesn't even go and check it on VAR. Why do we have it? So okay, we're all infuriated by that, and we'll never know because the league isn't being played on fair terms, and the game's actually ended how our opponents wanted to, with Alexis Cuyas going out on TV and talking about things that have nothing to do with football. And I do want to talk a bit about football as well, because there are things in this game that we can talk about. Mady Camara, should he be in the squad? Should he be sold this winter? Ortega, the two Argentinians, or other things that you guys might have talked about on previous episodes. The fact that more than half the signings we made last summer, they're nowhere to be seen. And, trust the process has gone completely down the toilet. And we're starting from square one again. And the team just looks kind of completely helpless and left to its fate. And whatever happens by the end of this season. And it's sad. It's sad because we all believed, trust the process at the beginning of the year. And now it's all kind of back to square one. And let's see what happens at the end of the season, and let's start again next summer. And waiting to see what reinforcements come in January. So I've waffled on a lot now, and I've talked about more than just the game, and there's more to talk about. But those are some first thoughts and some first feelings from my side.
Well, I mean, I do believe that the team did show some reaction. I mean, that this was a completely different story compared to La Mia, absolutely completely. And I'm going to dare say it was completely different to Atromitos. I mean, for Christ's sakes, we saw a very average Olympiacos team coming back and scoring twice and basically gaining a penalty that was disallowed. If that was scored, we would have seen Olympiacos coming back from 2 goals to be ahead with 3 goals. What about you, Dimitris? I want to get your first feelings of the match. So how do you feel about the way things transpired at Karaiskaki?
I'm outside of the refereeing mistakes and the robbery, that's Faye. I thought we were better than we have been, especially in that second half. I'm actually pleased with the second half performance, not necessarily tactically, more necessarily passion-wise. Like you saw, I don't know, like players that I didn't really expect to. So like I saw certain instances where Biancone was getting annoyed and like frustrated with like the refs and like what was going on and like some of the tackles. And I was like, yeah, like it was nice to see players that are like, like foreign players like actually being like, fuck this shit. Like I'm angry. And it's nice seeing that. I thought we were much the better side in the second half, to be fair. And I agree with Kostas with a K and disagree with Kostas with a C. If it wasn't for the refereeing decisions, I think if it was the 3-2, we would have gone on and won. Like AEK were deflated. If you're up 2-0 and you're losing 3-2, you're not coming back. Like if we turn that game around, if that was 3-2 at the 65th minute, 70th minute, that game would have finished 4-2 in my opinion. It looked like we were definitely on the upper foot. And I'm actually really pleased with the way the team reacted after the disallowed Masouras goal, because 2 minutes later they went on the attack again. Navarro got fouled in the penalty area, should have been a penalty. And then after that is when we sort of not fell apart, but we lost that momentum that we had, which is kind of expected when you're sort of getting like fucked over by the refs. It's sort of like, it obviously deflates you because you're thinking, what more can I do? But yeah, overall quite pleased with the performance compared to the shit that we've seen. Still like the defending for that second goal especially is shockingly bad. Like really, really bad. So don't get me wrong, I'm not like pleased with Olympiacos. I'm just pleased compared to the shit that we've seen lately. That, especially from the second half onwards and the last 10 minutes or so of the first half, was much better. So yeah, that's where I leave it. Like even though I'm frustrated with the result because I feel like we were cheated, I did see some more fight than I was expecting. Because like we were saying it in the Patreon group chat on WhatsApp, I think it was actually Costas with a C who said it. He said this could get really bad really quickly now. When they scored their second goal, it could have gone, it could have been 4 or 5 if we hadn't fought back. It could have carried on going. So yeah, I think I like to take some positive out of that.
Well, I guess we could start by talking about the actual game, take it a little chronologically in this. We knew this was going to be a really difficult match. I don't think anybody in this call or on the comment section were very confident heading to this match. I think I said it on Patreon, which one extra reason why everybody should join us is that they're going to get to join our WhatsApp group where we have a lovely community going on. Amazing debates, amazing conversations, and we get to tell you all the things we cannot say on camera based on what sources have told us. I said that I do not expect a good result, but I wouldn't be shocked if we won. But even if we did win, I would not be confident of a title bid this season. I do believe this team is very inconsistent. There are a lot of weaknesses. There are a lot of issues. If anything, I expect that I think we're going to finish 4th. So it wouldn't have mattered if we won this. In that regard, we would have finished 4th. But we saw a weak start from Olympiacos. 2 rather easy goals by AEK, both of them from set pieces from a corner kick. Both corner kicks came from the same side. Levi Garcia absolutely destroying Julian Biancon, if I'm not mistaken, in the air, and he did that again in the second half. That's when he scored, and he did the same thing with the second goal before he set Steven Zuber up for the second. But then we saw something that we never saw at Lamnia and we never saw in Peristeri against Atromitos, and that was a reaction. Olympiacos got a super duper important goal right before halftime with Georgios Masouras, a player who is quite often misses the big chances this season, hasn't been very reliable, but he finished this time. And in the second half, when he got through with this really smart move and got that very clear touch, he beat Stankovic again with relative ease. I haven't seen Masura scoring 2 goals like this for a very long time. And then, of course, it was the penalty. With Fran Navarro being taken down by Callens. Both occasions weren't checked by VAR. Both occasions didn't see the referee going to the monitor. They were just waved away as a handball and a nothing, basically, respectively. So I would like to start with Dimitris this time. Dimitri, how did you see Olympiacos on the pitch? What was your opinion about what you saw on the pitch? Were you impressed? Did you think there was an improvement? Do you think there is an improvement? There is a hope of improvement going forward.
So, yeah, just to expand on what I said earlier, I definitely think there is an improvement compared to lately. Not necessarily compared to what we were seeing at the start of the season, where I thought we were playing better, but definitely compared to the last few games. For me, the second goal was the really, really disappointing one. Don't get me wrong. The first goal was really bad. Biancona gets beaten far too easily in the air, but I mean, great header. Second one, it's just soft. It's not just Biancona getting beaten in the air, or was it Biancona for the second one as well? I can't remember, but
I think so.
The fact that it's not just the fact that they get beaten in the air, he doesn't catch the header that well. It's just a bit scruffy. But then, who scored the second goal for AEK? Super. I was about to call him Subotic, and I was like, yeah. The way the ball just fell to him, and then the way he took it, it was just all scruffy and a bit soft. Like there was no one around him. He had all the time in the world. It just looked like the sort of goal you're scoring against a lower league, like a team that's like a lesser team in Greece. Like, and you're not expecting that. Like, it's just a little bit disappointing. From the same side, from the corner from the same side, within a few minutes of themselves, it's like, come on, like, How are you not fixing that? How are you not working on that in the training sessions? Like how can that happen twice? That frustrated me. It really, really frustrated me, and it had me worrying. I'm like, fuck, like now they're gonna give up. But then we saw a really good sort of reaction. I thought the build-up for the goal was excellent. The little 1-2 with Fortunis, and then the through ball, and then boom, Masouras is one-on-one. And I was saying this on Wednesday when we were chatting, just the two of us, Costa, on the show. Like the hate Masouras gets. Like, yeah, he might not be technically the most gifted player, but he comes up. Like he's the one that if you need someone to just drag you from the depths of shitness, Masouras will at least put a shift in. And yeah, he's one-on-one.
Alamatz agrees with you.
And yeah, and he took it well. He took it well. He finished the goal, and it's what I was saying on Wednesday. Like, him and Paskalakis are much more leadership materials, in my opinion, compared to everyone else on the team. And you see that with the second goal. That second goal is a travesty not to stand, because he took that brilliantly. He took it really, really well. Like, like I'm looking back at it, and he's like, he controlled it. Like, he's coming over the top, and he's like chesting it to himself, and he's like swiveling and turning and shooting on the spot. Like, you don't expect that sort of goal in the Greek Super League, especially from a Greek player. Like, that's more of a Brazilian, South American sort of goal. And for that to be ruled out, and you saw his reaction, he was like, against Stavroto, and he was like, no, there's no way it touched me here. Like, it was just a very nicely taken goal. So again, praised him, because like he didn't do anything wrong in that situation. Do you know what I mean? He took it really well. Navarro took the penalty really well. We took him one-on-one, and then like cut inside. Again, took that really well. So all in all, I'm very happy with those parts. Obviously, let's not forget the fact that we were bad at the start, and we're not trying to put a positive spin just for the hell of putting a positive spin on it. But there are positives to take from that, in my opinion. Yeah, that's the general idea I have of the game.
Well, before I pass on the baton to you, Kostas, I would like to thank Mike Scobb. What is that, Costa? Here, PLN? What is PLN here?
Zloty.
Zloty. 29.99 zloty. Thank you so much for the donation, Mike. Thank you for joining the show. Hope to have you in more episodes, and do sign up on Patreon, dude. Do join us on Patreon. We'd love to have you over. So Costa, how did you find Olympiacos' performance on the pitch? And do tell us how you were quite vocal on Patreon about Navarro. So would you like to share your thoughts on Navarro's first ever start for Olympiacos?
Yeah, if we're starting with Navarro, I mean, obviously it's hard to judge a player who's just been here for, I think, even less than a week. He's been training with the club, and he's been thrown in today because El Kabi's off at AFCON, Jovetic isn't fit, El Arabi's injured, so he was thrust in today. And, you know, I said a little bit earlier, I think this is a player that I would really like to see in a healthy Olympiacos team. I think he makes intelligent runs. He's very mobile. So obviously, he's got legs. So, you know, looking at the last game against Lamia and leading the line with Jovetic, it wasn't even a mid block we were playing. Like, you just couldn't tell like where and if we were pressing them at all to try and recuperate the ball. And I thought Navarro led the line really well today in terms of his running. His he had a lot of positive energy. He's a player that you need to find him in the box, obviously, to score goals. He can't do what El Arabi does. He doesn't have the skill that El Arabi has, and, you know, displayed more in his heyday, where he could create for himself, you know, create space for himself and take shots. But you can see his first touch is very good. He plays the ball, first time passes, a couple that went, from the center over onto the wings, where he opened up the play really well. Even on the goal, I mean, he's involved in the goal where Pedence plays the ball from the wing and he chests it down to Fortunis, and Fortunis plays a nice pass to Masouras. So very, I thought he was positive today. It was unlucky not to have that penalty called, obviously. So yeah, guys. I mean, I think clearly he continues. Even if Jovetic and El Arabi are fit, for me, this is the guy that needs to be playing up front. Got youthful legs, and we need. I think we need his energy up front to lead the line. The press has always been an issue for us ever since, I think, last season, the season before last, because El Arabi's been getting old. So I think that's going to be important moving forward. So that's all I've got to say about Navarro for now. We haven't seen enough, but I think we saw some things today that can better inform us about what he can give as a player to the team. Otherwise, I was quite vocal earlier about our formation going into the game. I thought it was really risky going into this game with Hesse and Mady Camara in a two-man midfield against AEK, a team that we generally know as a good counter-attacking team. They transition really fast from defense to attack. They've got fast players on the wings. Levi Garcia looks in good shape. We saw today. I thought that was risky, but at the same time, there was something else I noticed today in the midfield, and that was a clear kind of instruction, it seems, that Mady Camara had a deeper role in the midfield. He was playing behind the halfway line. I thought Hesse was playing more in his position, like near the semicircle, more as a number 8 in the midfield. And I thought Hesse was one of our better performers in the first half, where we maybe were not so good. So I think that was nice to see. I think that's something we should keep an eye on moving forward. I think that's how it should be. Like Hesse should be playing in that position, like further up the field, not as a 6. It's clearly not a 6 for me. So if we've made a decision that we're not going to play with a defensive midfielder, that we're not going to promote Andreas Doi to his real position, which is a number 6, if we're not going to play Vicente Bora, we need to buy like a defensive midfielder still that will play next to Santiago Hesse and leave him more freedom in the midfield to do what he did today. Intercept the ball, destroy attacks, set us off quickly after he's intercepted. He's an intelligent player. He's a young lad. I don't want to judge him too quickly, or the other Argentine. He had a poor game today, Francisco Ortega. He was completely dominated by Amrabat and by Sidibe. Both those guys physically outdid Ortega. He seriously needs to work on that, but I don't want to be too harsh. It's his first season in Europe. Same for Hesse. I think those two signings will be more accurately evaluated, or can be better evaluated in their second season after they've had a real preseason with the team. I think it's important that we all don't get ahead of ourselves, because we really have a bad track record as a club when it comes to bringing in those kinds of players and then, them not performing immediately. And then we say, okay, we're going to loan this one here. We're going to loan that one there. We're going to sell this one. We need to give it a bit more time with those two players, in particular, players that we played 4.5 million with, respectively, for Ortega and Hesse. Those are some thoughts I have in general about the game. Another thing that I was wondering was Pedence's utilization on the left-hand side. I generally think that Pedence has more to offer on the right. Cutting in onto his left, a lot of the goals that he's scored this season have been with him cutting in onto his left foot, getting us goals. And I was a little bit miffed that we didn't see him at all on the right-hand side today. Same thing goes for when Gelson Martins came on late in the game. He played out on the left. Is that something we're going to see moving forward? He's a player that has made a name for himself generally as a right winger. So some tactical questions that I have moving forward, having seen what I saw from today's game as well. And there's more, but we can. I'll stop there and let's maybe have a look at some comments. By the way, there is another donation from Mike Scobb. Thank
I
you,
think
Mike.
it's the same. I think it's the same one. Might not be. Might be the same one. He just added a comment. I think
It's the same guy. So he didn't write a comment earlier. He says, seriously, Retos is a really good player, and we have some quality in the team. The issue is we don't have a lot of it, and we change players like toilet paper after we wipe. Thanks very much, Mike, for the beers. Yeah.
Well, there is a question here. I think it's for me, might be for you also, Costa, because sometimes they get the K's and the C's mistaken from Georgios Masouras. Costa, how do you feel about playing with two midfielders and not three against AEK? Costa with a C, you address that. Well, again, on Patreon, for those who have joined us, I did express my concerns early on, saying that you cannot play with two midfielders against AEK. They gave us a lot of issues last season because of the fact that we insisted with only two midfielders in Jan and Villa and Juan Gimbom. Plus the fact that we had no number 6 in the starting lineup. You said it, Costa. Santiago is not a number 6. He needs to be a little further up the pitch. But Mady Camara played a deeper role, even though he's not a number 6. He is a number 8, and he's had quite a difficult season, quite an inconsistent season with us. We're going to get to Mady Camara a little later. I wanted to see Vicente Bora in the starting lineup because we needed a 6, and the only number 6 we have are Vicente Bora and Andreas Doi, who hasn't played number 6 since a couple of friendlies with the first team. So I was very concerned, but I was very pleased with the way that Olympiacos pressed high up, especially in the first few minutes and after AEK's second and throughout the second half. So that did work over there. So Dimitri, what did you think about the starting lineup? And do you think, as Costa said, do you think Carlos Carvalhal learned a few things or showed us a few things going forward as to how he will want to play against other opposition, especially with what he did with Mady Camara and Santiago Eze in midfield?
So I agree and disagree with both of you on that fact. I think we need a 6. I agree. So I agree we need a 6. I agree we need to be playing with 3 midfielders in these sorts of games. I disagree that Mady Camara should be playing further back. I think him and Heze should be like the 2 further up, and we need to get a 6 behind them. If it's not going to be Bora, if it's not going to be Doi, I agree with what Costa with a C was saying, that we need to sign someone else. You cannot be playing just like Heze doesn't belong in that further back position. Neither does Camara, in my opinion.
I agree with that. Just to be clear.
Yeah, like today, yeah, he was playing further back, but they're both better offensively. We need a 6, big time. If I was Carvalhal, I'd rather play Ibora or Doi than play without a 6. Do you know what I mean? Like the last thing you want to be doing is sacrificing that position entirely. I'd rather have someone like Ibora who's been disappointing so far, but it's only been like 4 months. Do you know what I mean? Like you never know, it could change. Or Doi, he's still young. Like I'd rather play someone until they bring another side and until they replace them or not replace them. But playing without a 6 is criminal, in my opinion, and it's criminal in most situations. Like it needs to really, really, really work for the team not to have a 6. It's such an important position. You're going to get overrun otherwise. Like it's really rare that it works. And if it works brilliantly. But in my opinion, it doesn't. Like you see it with so many teams. You see it with like big teams as well. Like Liverpool, for example, right? They didn't sign a top class 6. They signed Endo. But the team is so much better with a player that came from like one of the worst teams in the Bundesliga than playing without a 6 and putting a fake 6 in there. Do you know what I mean? Like, you play someone whose position is a 6, even if they're not as good as our other midfielders. That's where I stand on that. Regarding Podence, so my issues with Podence, I saw this in, basically it's 2 comments that people put together. One comment was that Podence wasn't helping Ortega enough. Mike Scobb said that he wasn't helping Ortega enough because Podence is an attacking-minded winger, attacking-minded forward player. He doesn't really track back as much as you want him to. And you saw that today. Ortega was left alone. And I'm someone who's actually a big fan of Ortega. So I thought that is an issue. At the same time, this is why I'd rather have him on the right wing, as Costa was saying, with him cutting inside. Because the way Rodinei plays, he plays the whole wing on his own, right? And Pedence, what he does really well is coming off the wing and playing further in, like cutting inside and playing like as an extra sort of 10, like a hybrid winger 10 role. And I think that he works better on the right because Rodinei can play the whole wing up and down on his own because he's a fucking dog. Like he'll just run up and down. Rodinei's like, even if he has a shit game, he's my favorite player this season. It's just the way he plays. I really rate it, and because he can run up and down the wing, and Omar El Abdellaoui had that as well. He could sort of play the wing by himself, which is why I think Pedence works better in that position because he can come inside and offer more. Whereas Masouras, for example, because of his like tracking back and extra work that he's putting, he needs to be more on Ortega's side, which is needed to track back, in my opinion. Like, for example, you can't have Fortunis on the side of Ortega either because he's going to get exposed. Whereas on Rodinei's side, we haven't seen that much of an issue yet. I just want to put something out there. Demetrius K may have the exact same initials as me. I may not have a profile picture. It's not me. He's complimented.
I thought that was your burner.
He's complimented me twice on this show. I just want to put it out there. It's not me. We may have the exact same initials, and he might be. But yeah, sorry. So that's where I'm at with that. Again, I agree with what Costa with a C was saying regarding Navarro. It's only been a game and a half. You can't make any judgments yet. But again, I don't know. Maybe I'm really spoiled. I really like fast strikers. I like powerful, fast strikers that run the channels, that come in and out. So
not another signing, please. No more signings, please.
I'm not asking for another signing. That's what I really like watching with strikers. And I said this on Wednesday. I don't really like the El Kabi sort of player where you're waiting for the ball to come to him. I like the player who gets the ball and creates something, and which is why I like Navarro with the penalty situation, because he had it on the wing and he sort of cut inside and got taken out basically. So I liked seeing that sort of situation, but that's the sort of thing that I want to see. I want to see a striker dropping back, linking up with a player, coming forward, like that sort of false nine position. I really like that, and I know we sort of tried that with BL and Masouras and didn't really work, obviously, but that's the sort of thing that I like watching. So yeah, but overall I am happy with Navarro and the way he played. I mean, it's only a game and a half, and there's more to see there. That's what else. Talked about midfield, defense. I mean, everyone else, Fortunis.
Did you guys notice that Masouras?
Yeah, did you guys, as much as I thought? Yeah, what were you saying? Sorry.
Did you guys notice that Masouras, for at least to me, for the first time this season, Masouras wasn't really playing as a outright kind of central second striker, but he was really like out on the wing. I feel like Martinez really.
I noticed that. Yeah.
I feel like Martinez really like. He really made that his position this season. Like I was at least really used to seeing Masouras this season playing quite close to El Kabi, like near the striker, being part of the press, like high up the field. Whereas today it was like a clear kind of 4-2-3-1 formation. It wasn't even 4-4-2 when we were defending. Like we saw 4-1-3-2 when we were defending. He was in like completely different kind of positioning to what we've been used to this season. That was another thing I noticed today, at least.
Plus, if we hadn't had any referee shenanigans, I feel like Georgios Masouras could have easily been man of the match as well.
For sure,
two huge goals.
The second goal was brilliant, man.
The second goal was brilliant. I said it earlier. I was screaming like when it went in. My parents had just come back. Like my dad walks in, and I'm just going ah! Like that was literally my reaction. Like I was screaming like as if I'd watched. Because you don't expect that. Like usually with the Greek league games, you're a little, like you're not on the edge of your seat. It's not blockbuster football, is it? And watching a
You
goal
see
like
what
that,
you did, Epo? You see what you did, Epo?
and
You see what
watching
you
a
did
goal
there,
like that,
Sully?
you're like, you're like, fuck. So I completely agree. If that goal had stood, he would have been man of the match. To be fair.
Can I say something?
Can I first welcome our newest patron in Agelos Liapopopoulos, as announced by our fellow co-host Aris Bouloubasis, who is watching us from his house in Maryland. Labros Sirmos is also watching us from his house as well, but unfortunately he can't join us because he is ill, and we are wishing him a speedy recovery. Costa, please.
Masouras is a player that will constantly divide us. Yeah, we'll look like even his biggest fans will be his biggest kind of critics at times during this season, during any season. The thing with Masouras for me is very clear. If he has time to think when he's in front of goal, he's missed it. If he has to take it first time, it's goal. I swear. Look at all his goals, man. Most of his goals are first touch.
The first goal, he did have a second. He took that first goal.
He took it first time, though. He didn't dribble it. He didn't dribble it. It just like it was perfectly weighted ball in front of him. It's like, boom, keeper opened his legs, slot it into the corner. Beautiful. The second goal was like Brazilian technique. It's like on turn from the chest, and then the finish was brilliant. Like, I mean, it's just. I think even commentators in bloody Greece have said that as well. It's like he's a player that he's great when he takes it first time. And look at all his goals. Like the majority of his goals are like that. It's like a header first time or a finish first time, no control, no nothing, just boom, done. And this is a player that's running out of contract at the end of the season, and we have to ask ourselves the question: what's going on with that? Like, do we want Masouras to renew? Like, what do we think
Not
about
only
that?
Masouras. It's 18 players right now.
So many players.
With Navarro 19. Solbakken is gone. Now it's Navarro 19.
So many.
Costas was listing them on Wednesday. The show was about 2.5 hours long, and he was still listing
1.5 hours. Don't lie. Don't lie.
It was 3.5 hours because Costas listed about 35 players that we have that are out of contract. The only people that aren't out of contract is us. It's wild. Can I, before we carry on, I just saw a comment and I want to make sure we don't miss it. That I really agree with. Roman Smirnidis.
Carlos de Roman.
If you could pin that one, this here. The problem is not the players. The rotten roots are much deeper. It's pointless to talk about the players. We're missing the biggest picture. The chemistry is below zero. Anyone would look bad. Yeah, that last sentence is so true, and I'm annoyed I hadn't thought about this in the half an hour that we've been live. That is like literally, he's so right, because to a point, you could honestly put Mbappe in there, and at certain points, or like Mo Salah, and it might not be what you're expecting, because the chemistry, if it's not clicking behind the scenes, if it's not clicking in training, if you're swapping managers, if you're swapping players all the time, and they're not allowed to build that chemistry and actually be a team and not just a bunch of individuals, it's gonna be a bit of a shit show. And that's why so many players that we were praising earlier on, or so many players that were like shitting on earlier on, they're sort of turning it around. Like Ortega at the start of the season, we were like, oh, what a gem, what a great player, and today he had a bit of a stinker. But like, if the situation around a player as part of a team is not working, then obviously it's not going to work as we want it. They're not magicians. Like the players, it's like when you're going to work, you need your colleague to be pulling their weight and work well together. So I completely agree with that comment, and I just want to give it a big shout out, because it's as simple as that. We don't have to jump on the players' back or anything like that. Like that's what we need to work on. It's a lot deeper than just performances. And it's the same with last season. Like we saw Retsos, like the threats and shit, and how shocking he was with like, what was it, the Aris game. And then at the start of this season, we were like, oh my God, he's like the Greek Maldini. Do you know what I mean? It just needs to gel first before we start shitting on people. Yeah.
No, absolutely. But before we get to that, I would like to kind of because we're on the 40th minute mark. I would like to cover I think the last bit when it comes to what happened on the pitch, what we saw tonight on the field, and I would like to ask about Mady Camara. We mentioned also players whose contracts are running out, and if there's only one player out of that are not on loan who is definitely not staying, that is Mady Camara. I don't think there's a single universe out there in this world in which Mady Camara renews with Olympiacos. His contract runs out in June. We, Gate 7 International, shared a story that was written in Africa, and I believe it was from his native Guinea, about him refusing to renew, about him wanting to leave, something that has not been cross-referenced. The article went down. Mady Camara insists he's happy at Olympiacos, and he's absolutely focused on winning the league and doing well in Europe. There is interest from Lyon. I'm sure there's interest from elsewhere. Notice that Mady Camara didn't join Ayoub El Kabi in the Africa Cup of Nations. El Kabi is with Morocco. Camara didn't join Guinea after he fell out with the Guinean manager. So I'm going to start with Costas this time. And Costas has a lot to say about Mady, is the truth. Costa, you're not going to be sad to see Mady go. I'm sure Dimitris won't be sad either. Actually, let's not go too fast there, because we're going to ask him. I'm not going to be at all sad to see him go. But would you be up to selling him in January, even if it is for peanuts? Which, let's face it, it would be for peanuts. But it's either that or €0. So, what's your take?
First of all, I will be sad to see him go to a point because I think he gave a lot to the club, particularly the first 2.5 seasons. I think it's, there are a lot of players that I think were to a degree mismanaged in terms of their value and us overvaluing them. We can talk about the COVID economy and, how the valuation of players went down during COVID, and, the fact that, that run that we had in the Europa League with the Wolves game, after that, I think it would have been the best time to sell him, to sell Semedo, to sell Bar, to sell Cisse. But it didn't happen. And I think you can't keep a player in a place where, his mind's already gone. I think that's clearly the case with Mady. Mady does have quality. He showed it with that ball that he played to Masouras for the goal that was disallowed. How many times have we seen him do that? Play those diagonal balls in over the top for the runners that are making the diagonal runs into the box. So, no doubt Mady has quality, but it's clear as day, like, players' mind's gone. And he can, we quoted him, what he said to us, that, he never talked to anyone and that his mind is on Olympiacos. So thanks, Mady, but I think we can all read the tea leaves. We all know what's going on. Like, Maddie's trying to find a way out of the club. To be honest, when you look at the field and you look on the pitch, I think as long as Martinez was around, and Martinez was kind of the one that convinced him to play ball at the beginning of the season and help the club. Because remember, he came into training from Roma. He was injured. There was all the uncertainty about his role. Martinez got him to play. Now Martinez is gone. I don't see any particular chemistry being built with Hesse, to be honest with you. So I would sell him now. I would sell him now, even if it's we're not going to get the price that we valued him at a couple of seasons ago. We were asking for 15 million, and we were getting, I think, offers of around 7 or 8. I think even Monza's transfer bid last season was around 5, or maybe it was a loan plus option that was better than the Roma deal, but he wanted to go to Roma. So, long story short, like, Mady, just cut the cord. There's a player that's not happy there. He's a cancer in the dressing room. Anyone that is unhappy, please leave. There's the door. You can't have unhappy players in the dressing room. Just let them go. Let him go. Free Mady. Like, just let the guy go. Sell him. The bid comes in, he's got to go. and we bring someone else in.
Well,
Hell,
of
like
course,
don't get me started on the whole like academy players and whether we should be bringing through players like Muzakitis and Kostulas and all of that. Like, no, he's got to go. You know what, guys? Something we have not talked about enough on this podcast. Like, we can talk about like Roman talked about chemistry, and I said the chemistry between Mady and Hesse isn't great. The chemistry between Mvila and Juan last year, it was quite good.
Yeah,
but it was unbalanced because you needed a player like Mady to fit with them in like a midfield triangle. You needed you would have Mvila's like positional awareness and his ability to distribute the ball like perfectly, like those 30-yard diagonal balls he can play, the crossfield balls, like Juan's skill, his technique, his ability to dribble, and then you'd have a powerhouse like a dynamo like Mady. That would be like in theory a nice midfield. What I'm trying to say is, first of all, we never replaced Guilherme. That's the one we never replaced because he did everything. He could intercept, he could distribute, he could carry the ball, he could shoot, he could do everything. He could score with his head. We never replaced that player. But we finally need to find, if Hesse is the investment that we made, we need to find the player that complements him. And we need to decide, do we want to play with 2 in midfield? Do we want to play with 3 or have the option? But at least for this season, it doesn't seem like we want, like I said, to play Andreas Doy in his position. So this is the signing I'm waiting for. This one, and obviously centre-back. Like we've brought in a striker, we've brought in a winger. I'm going to other topics now, sorry, but it's relevant. We needed those first 2 signings to be a centre-back and a midfielder. And it's not there yet.
And we could have used both of them, actually. Mady Camara has obviously offered a lot to Olympiacos throughout his years. It's a huge shame right there. I mentioned that in my recent articles of 10 questions to ask Vangelis Marinakis. And one of them was, how did the whole gem from Africa scheme go up in flames? Mady Camara, Mady Camara, Ousseynou Ba, Papa Boussissé were supposed to be sold for a minimum of 15 million euros each. Papa Boussissé was sold to Adana Demirspor in the summer for an undisclosed fee, which was certainly not earth-shattering. Mady Camara is on loan at Atromitos and his contract runs out in June. Ousseynou Ba is on loan at Istanbul Basaksehir, and I think his contract is also up in June. Mady Camara's contract is up in June, and there's no chance in hell he's going to sign a new deal. I'm going to add in Ruben Semedo. I know he's Portuguese. Well, that was a different story because he was set to be sold at Wolves, but due to home office regulations, that never happened. He was ready to go to Porto, but then we all know what happened. So yeah, it is a very sad ending to an otherwise beautiful story at Olympiacos. And I'm going to pass over the baton to Dimitris, who has a lot to say about Mady. He's certainly going to be sad to see him go. But Dimitri, I mean, we were asked as well, would you be okay to selling Mady Camara? And if we do sell him, what kind of fee do you think Olympiacos could attract, realistically?
I don't know if you saw me nodding with everything Costa's saying. The more passionate he was getting, the more I was nodding. I was like head bopping. I was like 100%. Like, do you know what? When he started talking about how he's a cancer, I was like, he needs to go, man. Like, it's got to the point. I need him to go so bad that I don't care about the money. I'd rather just, and if we don't get rid of him, if we can't cancel his contract, if we can't sell him or whatever, just don't even play him. Like, yes, we value the quality, and he's actually a really good player. And we saw that his first, what was that season? Was it 2 years ago? The last season we're in the Champions League. He was so good. He was so good. He's a great player. He really, really is. But he's just, his head's not here. Like, he wants to go, and I don't blame him. He's a bit of a twat, but he doesn't want to be here. Like, fuck off. I'm sorry. Like, he is a bit of a bellend. Like, the way he's acting. I'm like, he's not really professional with the way he's acting. But at the same time, he's very unhappy. And do you know what? Just cut your losses. Get rid. Even if it's 500 grand, $1 million, fuck it. Even if it's free, just get rid of him. It's not helping the team with him being there. His quality is really, really good, but it's not outshining the negativity because he's not playing at 100% quality-wise. And I agree with, I think, I don't remember which one of the two said it, which one of the you two guys said it. But the fact that Martinez probably got him to just be like, do you know what? Put your seatbelt on, give us your best for a year, and then you're out at the end of the year. The fact that Martinez left and sort of Carvalhal's not in and Mady's just like, he's like, fuck this, I'm done. Yeah, just cut. We need to cut our losses. He needs to go. I value what he gave. He was a great player on his day. I honestly think it was the year that we had Marseille. It was a Marseille game. I feel like was it the one we lost 2-1 in?
Yeah.
In France.
The Rafinha foul that screwed us.
Yeah. Fucking hell. I remember I thought that was the best game that was the game he scored, right? He scored an absolute screamer. I remember watching him in that game going, what a fucking player. Like he was great in that game. And that's always what I look back to. That season, he was incredible. So I'm really grateful for what he's given. One of the best midfielders we've had recently.
He carried us that season in midfield.
Carried us, but just go. Like he needs to go. And yeah, we never replaced Guilherme. The fact that Juan left in the summer was just very disappointing because he was such a bright spark. I know I'm also going on a tangent, but that midfield, like there was so much potential. Obviously, Valbuena was old, but it was just we had so much potential to have something really good there, and it's such a shame. But yeah, Mady needs to go. All in all, that's
we are approaching an hour on this show, on this segment, and I do believe we need to address what happened tonight and how things are going forward in this situation. Like I said, before the match, I did not expect a good result. But let's face it, if it wasn't for the referees, this would have been a magnanimous result for Olympiacos, regardless of the performance on the pitch. Yes, Costa, there is absolutely no guarantee Olympiacos would have won that. But this team that couldn't complete 3 passes at Lamia and Peristeri would have come back from 2 goals down to beat AEK 3-2. Absolutely amazing. If I said that before the game, what would you guys think of me? Would you guys kind of want to fly over to Athens and maybe throw a little love tap on the head there? You know,
only if you paid for my flight, Costa.
I would also pay you for your Airbnb as long as you agreed to stay with me, man. That would be the.
You don't need an Airbnb. You can stay with me as well.
No, I don't like cats, mate. I don't know if I'd be able to deal with your cat.
I'd leave Paco away, man. Paco's a fucking asshole, man. Anyway, did I just call my cat a fucking asshole on YouTube? Well, I guess I just did. But I gotta say, guys, I mean, what we saw there, I wrote it on Twitter. When this happens in the Premier League, it is a mistake. But when it happens in Greece, it's quite often something else. The fact alone that VAR didn't intervene, the fact alone that the referee never went to the monitor. We saw what Alex Kouya said after the game. He hinted that he was ordered to take the team off the pitch, but he didn't do it because he respects the club's history. He urged the Prime Minister, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, to get involved and postpone the league. Basically, he strongly hinted that at quite an interesting morning tomorrow morning. That there's
already a statement from the club.
They've already released this. They released a statement about half an hour ago.
Could you read it out?
Yeah, okay. Απόψε ήταν το αποκορύφωμα της δράσης εγκληματικής οργάνωσης στο ελληνικό ποδόσφαιρο. Μέσα σε λίγες εβδομάδες μας στέρισαν έως και 11 βαθμούς με Παναθηναϊκό, Βόλο, Ατρόμητο, ΑΕΚ και αλλίωσαν το πρωτάθλημα. Αυτά που καταγγέλαμε τόσο καιρό με κάθε τρόπο και σε όλους τους τόνους τα είδε κάθε Έλληνας φύλαθλος αποτυπωμένα στο γήπεδο και είναι ηθική δικαίωση τα όσα έγιναν έτσι ξεδιάντροπα κάτω από τους προβολείς. Δυστυχώς το μόρφωμα που σαπίζει το ελληνικό ποδόσφαιρο δεν αντιμετωπίζεται ποδοσφαιρικά και αναφερόμαστε στην πολιτεία και τις αρχές. Από εδώ και πέρα όποιος δεν ασχοληθεί με την εξαφάνιση της εγκληματικής οργάνωσης τότε σημαίνει και είναι προφανές ότι την υποθάλπτει. Τα λόγια τελειώσαν. Deliosa.
And just to be on the just to make everybody understand, Gus, thank you so much for your comment. And imagine what a confidence boost that win would be, Costa. Well, it wouldn't be, because, like I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I think I told Dimitris last week. Dimitris is more confident than I am. This team is finishing fourth. Even if we had beaten AEK, we would finish fourth. We'd still drop points from another game. But what we saw today was an indication that not only are we going to finish fourth, they're not going to let us finish higher than that. They're not going to let us even think we have a chance of winning the league. PAOK are the best team this season. And I'm telling you, what we saw today, PAOK are going to see it. What we saw tonight, we're going to see them against Panathinaikos in the Greek Cup. I will close my statement for now by congratulating AEK for winning the 2023-2024 Super League title. That's what we saw today. There weren't mistakes. It wasn't an honest error. This was a message right there. And PAOK are also going to experience that when they lock horns with AEK and Panathinaikos, especially in the playoffs. I don't know. What do you guys think? Perhaps I'm wrong.
I made the mistake of, during while you guys were speaking, opening the group chat with my Greek friends that was popping off. And you know what's frustrated me more than the referees' mistakes? It's the AEK fans not fucking seeing what fucking happened. Like I'm so angry. I'm so angry. It's like, right. So whenever your team is obviously has won because of a referee's mistake, let's assume it's a mistake, right? Like I'm not talking about corruption or cheating. A mistake, right? Every Panathinaikos friend I ever have always brings up the offside with Katsouranis, right?
Of course.
And I've always admitted, should have been a goal. It shouldn't have been what it should have been. Like that should have counted, etc., etc. And I said it. I was a teenager at the time. I've always said it. Like when your team is favoured by a refereeing decision, like the penalty with Magnatis, the handball in the FA Cup, and not the FA Cup final, in the Greek Cup final. I've always said it. So it really pisses me the fuck off when you have twats that are your friends, like being like, "What are you talking about? You guys were shit. You created one chance. That's not a handball. The referee had that is a handball. The referee had blown it. He sticks his arms out to control it." And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like you can't be blind. Like you can't be serious. Like there's no explanation for this. You can't. Like it's a clear and obvious error / mistake / whatever else it is, but it's like it's a goal. Like, do you know what I mean? So that's pissed me off so much right now. And outside of all the refereeing mistakes, like I'm fucking fuming. Right, back to the refereeing situation. I agree, PAOK is the best team.
But they're not winning the league. They're not going to win it. They're not going to let them.
I have this really bad trait where I see the best in people, and I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I like not to believe in conspiracy theories and like these crazy things that like, you know, like we've all heard the crazy conspiracy theories, especially in like originating within politics and stuff like that. But also, I don't want to believe that the corruption in the Greek league means that one team's going to win it no matter what. I don't like to believe in that stuff. Just like the same reason why I don't like to believe that, you know, the Prem is fixed so that City wins it no matter what Liverpool or Arsenal do. Right? I don't want to believe that. So, but at the same time, what happened today in quick succession with the goal and then the penalty, like the goal, I can be... One happens, you're like, fucking hell, this referee is an idiot. Like, I don't know what's happened here. Someone's spoken to him something. But two in a row, that close to each other, screams something was wrong. And that's what's annoyed me. You can't have both of those mistakes so close to each other and neither of those being checked. And a lot of people on my group chat I was talking about saying that the first one, like the referee blew the whistle, so he stopped the play before Masouras scored, which is why VAR didn't even take it into account. But then why are we waiting 10 hours for VAR's decision? Like, I don't understand. So, yeah. And now amid this game, my alter ego is saying that I'm being naive, that there's a lot of like corruption and shit going on. But yeah, I don't want to think about that too much, because then it's just going to linger, and I'm just going to be thinking about it for a long time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to get over this. I want to wake up tomorrow and just not be thinking about this still. But yeah, I don't know where I was going now. It's just really pissed me off. Like, that the AEK fans are not being like, yeah, holding their hands up. That just pissed me off.
The question is, if we're not winning the league this season, then what are we doing this season? What are we doing? Like, we're rebuilding again, yeah? So the rebuild...
Oh, we're going to be rebuilding next year as well, because like, this isn't a rebuild.
So, yeah, but it was supposed to be a rebuild.
But it's not going to be.
It's a rebuild of the rebuilds. Like, it was an overcooked rebuild last summer, and now we're already starting to bring new pieces. Okay, like Gelson Martins has come in on a 2.5-year contract. But you know, we have all these question marks like you guys talked about on the last show. So many players that are leaving at the end of the summer. Like, what are we doing? Like, to try and think a little bit more long term and more sustainable in terms of where this club is going. Like, what players are going to be here? Who are we promoting?
But Costa,
how are we building the chemistry?
We've been saying this for so long. There is no plan. That's the issue. There needs to be a plan. But I mean, it's the same issue that we've been talking about for quite a few weeks / months now, ever since the sort of, you know, capitulation. I think, what was it? I mean, it all started with the 1-1 with the Panathinaikos game, but then really the Freiburg, you know, destruction. We've been saying it. We said it on Wednesday. We spent 10 hours with Costa. We basically spent the whole day talking about this. And how?
Do you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that.
No plan.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because, you know, maybe some people will see tonight as a turning point, or a realization. But for me, everything finished this season when that idiot threw the firecracker into the pitch.
For me, it ended after Diego Martinez was sacked. That's when it ended.
But that's the beginning of the end for Diego Martinez.
The beginning of the end. I agree with Costa. I agree with Costa with the
it's the beginning of the end for Martinez, because that was still in like look, Martinez had this phrase all the time that he would use in press conferences, that we're building a bridge. He'd use that in press conferences when he talked to the press, like, we're building a team, yeah? And could you, like, we will never know if we would have turned that game around against Panathinaikos. But if we did, could you imagine the confidence boost it would have given not only to the players, but to him and his staff? Like, to give them like the belief and the buy-in from the dressing room that things like this is working, keep going. Like,
counter argument though. Couldn't the West Ham game had done that? Because that was that the West Ham was after Panathinaikos, one of their biggest victories in our European history.
I disagree with you in terms of that being one of our biggest wins in Europe. Maybe in terms of like the fact that they're the holders of the Conference League and so on and so forth. But they came to Karaiskaki.
They are a strong Premier League club.
They came to Karaiskaki with a weak side, bro. They came and played Danny Ings up front. I'm sorry, you're not doing anything against us when you come and play with Danny Ings up front.
I mean, don't disrespect Danny Ings.
And Panathinaikos were not the strongest Panathinaikos team we have seen in many, many years.
No,
I grew up with giants. I grew up with giants watching Panathinaikos.
Panathinaikos means something totally different to the entire Olympiacos community.
Yes, but beating a Premier League club as well is huge, especially when you're so weak. Anyway, we're not going to argue. I think this is a stupid argument.
It's not a stupid argument.
A simple no would have been more than enough.
No,
okay, so it's not West Ham. It would have been Panathinaikos. Okay, moving on.
Costa. What I'm saying is, tonight isn't the turning point. That was the turning point in the season. And we're sitting here talking about chemistry. Martinez was creating his chemistry with his team, with the players that he picked, whether Ribora is a good player or not, or Kini is a good player or not. He was trying to build something. And whatever effort was made from the beginning of the summer until now is finished. Like it finished at that game, and I'll just stop it there.
I agree with that. Can I just say something? I saw a comment, just a small tangent, but it just got me thinking. One of the questions, there you go, Gus Drax, who's going to be the manager for this rebuild? And I'm just going to throw something crazy out there, and I'm probably going to get crucified for this. But
don't say Sa Carvalhal, please don't say Sa Carvalhal.
No. I'm not saying Sa Carvalhal, but let's say if they did it, because I've always been this kind of fan where I don't want managers sacked. I have this. It's the British in me where I want to give them a very long time before they get sacked. Right? I've always been like that. Let's say he did get sacked, and I'm not advocating for him to get sacked, but when he's asking who's going to be the manager for this rebuild, this is going to sound crazy. But what I'd like to see, or not what I'd like to see, but just an idea, do you think that a Greek/Balkan/Eastern European coach, no nonsense, very like knows the reality of like that sort of, not style of football, but also world, where like you have people like Savidis coming onto the pitch with a gun, that sort of mentality would work better for Olympiacos to just build good foundations where no nonsense. If your ego's too big, you're out. If someone's been like, if a referee's been a cunt, he'll know about it. If owners are being twats, they'll know about it. Someone, yeah, I know that people are saying Jovanovic, but like that, but that's what I'm saying. Not just necessarily Jovanovic, but like that part of the world. Do we? Because I just had that thought, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I don't want another Spanish or Portuguese if Carvalhal was to get sacked. I'm not advocating for him to get sacked. I want him to stay, because if we keep getting sacking managers, it's only going to be a fiasco, and it will always be like that. But I'm just saying, if like in the future, what do you guys think? I'm kind of done with the whole Latino sort of European vibe for a bit.
Honestly, I don't care if he's from outer space, as long as he's good at what he does. As long as see, this is the thing. Like, and I'm sick and tired of saying this. Like, I wish we had a way of, things we often say. I wish we had a way on the podcast of making quotes out of it, so we don't have to repeat them. When we have a sporting director, or we're supposed to have a sporting director. We were supposed to have a sporting director in Antonio Cordon. Now we have a new one in Bruno Alves. You just let that person choose it. It's not the owner. It's not the vice president. It's not the chairman who chooses him. It's the sporting director. Someone that gets along with the sporting director. Someone that understands what this team needs. And thus will bring someone in who goes by that philosophy right there. So I guess to answer your question, I couldn't care less about that person's nationality, as long as Bruno Alves gets to work independently with his own team, and that new manager or current manager, whatever, gets along with Alves.
I agree with both of you. on the one hand, I couldn't care less where the guy comes from if the job's getting done. On the other, I think when Slaven Bilic was being tipped for the job last summer, I was fully on board for that. I was like, this team needs somebody, or these players, that dressing room needs somebody to come in and just like be a big cock. It's like, I'm the biggest cock in the room, and like
Carvalhal does not give me that vibe.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you guys are here and I'm there. Shut the up. Yeah. The thing is, with that kind of manager, I think it can bring you results in the beginning, but long term, I don't know how good or how sustainable that kind of manager can be for a club like Olympiacos. Like Bajovic had that kind of reputation, for example. One of the most successful coaches this club's ever had. It's like hugely unpopular as a personality, very cagey with the media. We can sit here and talk a lot about Bajovic, but I don't know. I guess people have already commented in the chat like about Lucescu, Jovanovic. I like Lucescu because he just gives me this vibe of a manager that works with what he has and makes it work. And He knows when to put his arm around the player. He knows when to shout at a player. He knows when to do the right thing at the right time. It seems to me. Or Gattuso, like Dimitris K is mentioning in the chat, was another one that we heard about earlier. When was it? Easter. We heard about Gattuso at Easter. I don't know. Bielsa, but yeah,
he's a Latino I'd have right now. He's that no nonsense. Yeah, him I'd definitely have, but he'd never come.
I got another question for you guys. In retrospect, do you think we should have kept Matteo Valbuena?
Yeah.
Has your opinion changed? Has your opinion changed since the summer? Were you let him go in the summer, but you changed your mind now? Because I am. Like I was saying the summer's like, okay, it's time to go. Like, but if you look, like we brought in Gustavo Scarpa, skateboard, gone. Solbakken came in, he's gone. Who else? Like we were waiting for Biel to do more at the 10. Nothing. And Valbuena's killing it in Cyprus. And we can talk shit about the Cypriot League. It's not that much better than ours.
You mean
you
not
go
that much
first,
worse?
Dimitri?
I never wanted Valbuena to go. I don't mind him. See, this is my thing. I believe in the dressing room he would have been great. Maybe 10 minutes here or there. Playing wise, he's definitely too old. So performance wise, I was happy for him not to be a part of the team on the field, but he's definitely someone to have for those 10 minutes or on the bench, making sure that everyone's held accountable. So, and I've always felt like that he definitely should have stayed, because I've said it from the start. Fortounis is not captain material, in my opinion. He's not vocal enough. He's definitely a great player, and quality-wise leads by example most of the time. That there's a lot of games where he literally just did it himself and picked us up from the floor. But you need those big personalities, and we really don't have big personalities. It's bad when you're saying Paschalakis and Masouras are your biggest personalities. And I mean, out of the non-Greeks, it'd probably be Rodinei, just because he has that fucking dog mentality. But on dog, I mean DAWG, dog. So yeah, Valbuena, I think should have stayed just based on that, not necessarily performance-wise, if that makes sense.
Well, the thing is, and Matteo Valbuena had a very interesting interaction with Martial Debo on Twitter, as you can find him as Olympiacos FR. That is FR. Valbuena called Martinez a clown because of the fact that he wouldn't use Youssef El Arabi. And we have heard the reports, and I feel like Valbuena really teased the fact that strongly hinted that the reason he's not at Olympiacos right now is Martinez. Like, something we need to stress: just because a manager doesn't keep a really good player doesn't mean he thinks he's a bad player. He just doesn't fit in his structure, his plans, his vision. Pep Guardiola wasn't big on Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He wasn't big on Thierry Henry. He wasn't very big on Yaya Touré. But he never thought they were overrated or shit players. They just didn't fit his own plans. So, yes, I'd love to have Matteo Valbuena, but I would much prefer it if Diego Martinez was still here. He was still continuing his vision, continuing his build-up, continuing his structure, materializing what it is exactly he wanted to do with Olympiacos. It would be awesome if Antonio Cordon was there as well, but I've said it before many times, the guy's dealing with a very serious family issue. So Pedro Alves had to come in, and that did dent our plans. Something I would like to add here: there is a very there is a very respectable member at Olympiacos who told me that every time a new manager comes in, he's been doing this since Valverde returned, he just tells him something very simple. Listen, you're not going to be here for long, because either a better club is going to sign you in a couple of years, or, let's face it, you're going to get sacked. So just do your thing. Just do your thing. I don't expect Carvalhal to be sacked after tonight. There were my sources did say that Carvalhal could be sacked tonight if he lost, and depending on how he lost, like another 4-0 loss, 5-0 loss would have been it. And you know what I'm telling you, what I would advise him, just do your thing. You know what? If you want to bring kids, bring kids. You've done it before. Gabri Veiga, Celta, do it. You want to bring Babis Kostulas, do it. You want to bring Musakitis, do it. You want to bring Papacanelos, do it. You want to bring Algasimba, Tipi Keita, Badioukou Fatiga, Kalogeropoulos, Bagalianis. You want to put Zolaikis in goal, just fucking do it. You're not going to be here for a long, Carlos Carvalhal. You're going to get sacked, only a matter of time. So you know what? Just do your fucking thing. We're going to finish 4th regardless. I don't care who's manager. I don't care if Ernesto Valverde comes back, we finish 4th. Because A, we're not good enough, and B, there's the referees, as we saw tonight. I've never talked about referees like that. But we saw that last April against the AEK as well, when they killed us, the referees. So yeah, you know what, Carlos Carvalhal? Do whatever the hell you want. Do your thing. Do what works. I don't care if we lose from now on. Just do your thing.
Just one thing. Mike Scott put another really good comment here. Let's go backwards. Was it a mistake to fire Corberan? Maybe last year should have been a rebuild year. And I actually remember before I joined Gate 7, Gate 7 International, I remember I was at the airport in Athens, flying back to London, and Kostas with a K was on Twitter saying how his sources are saying Corberan's going, like he's pretty much gone now. And at the time, we'd never actually met. We followed each other on Twitter just because we both work in the British press. And I remember chatting to you about this and saying how it's ridiculous. You can't be firing someone after a month. Like, what the fuck is this? Why are we as a country and as a club just so backwards and firing people so quickly? So, yeah, I agree with Mike. Like, even though Corberan's results were not good and, yeah, it was a really bad period. Like, how the fuck are you firing someone after 2 months? Like, it's like we can't fire Carvalhal now. It's too short. Like, it's a joke. But yeah, so I agree. Even going back then, we shouldn't have fired Corberan 2 months in or however long, 60 days in. How long did he have? Did he get fired in August? He got fired in August, didn't he?
No,
he lasted longer. He lasted longer than oh fuck, I forgot her name. That terrible prime minister. Liz Truss.
Liz
He lasted longer than Liz Truss. Faseveste.
Oh fuck me. Okay, he lasted longer than Liz Truss. But yeah, he got fired in September. Did he actually get fired in September? Fuck, I don't remember what I was fired.
Yeah, because he played European games. It was It was Nantes away, and I think he had one more game.
Karabag, I think.
Karabag. Yeah, but yeah, so I agree with Mike. Yeah, just wanted to point that out. That was
Costa. Any last comments before we go to man of the match and coach's grade?
2 comments. We're over an hour in. There's been hundreds of people, maybe 1,000 plus that have joined. Thank you all so much. If you're still with us or if you're watching this later, please don't forget to press the like button. A measly 57, I'm looking now. Come on, guys, you can do a little bit better. Literally, just click the like button right now. It really helps us to find more Olympiacos fans and grow the red and white community all over the world. So it means a lot. If you're watching and you like what you hear, you're enjoying this, subscribe, become part of the community. So yeah, guys, easy, just 2 clicks. On the Corberan thing, I think that's a really big discussion. You have to ask, what did the club want from Corberan? Did they want instant results? That's what Olympiacos wants. Olympiacos is too impatient to build, to give the manager a season. And Corberan was too green for this job. He had to learn on the job, but we didn't have the patience to support him. I think that's an easy way to look at it without going deeper into it.
Yeah. So, guys, we're almost an hour and a half in. So, man of the match, coach is great. I mean, with what we saw on the pitch, I feel like it's a bit difficult to It's a bit challenging. That's a better word. Shall we start with Kostas this time? I think Dimitri started last time. Costa, man of the match and coach's grade.
I think man of the match probably would go to Masouras if things had gone normally. But I'd also give a shout out to Retos. I thought he cleaned up really well at the back. I thought Biancon was a bit. I had some moments, like Dimitri said, showed aggression, which I like as well. But he's lost the header on the goal. Yes, he's coming back from a really, really long injury. The second one too, apparently. So Retos really stood out at the back, like driving the ball forward as well. Generally been quite impressed with him this season. I thought he had a decent game today. But yeah, otherwise would be Masouras. And coach's grade, very hard again, given how the game's gone. I tend to think that his subs were late. I don't know what he was expecting from the 3 subs in the 83rd minute. So I'll give him maybe a C plus, because I think he did the best he could do in the midfield. Like I was questioning the 2-man midfield, as I said earlier, but I think there's been a clear instruction there for Hesse to start playing further forward, and I like that. I would have liked to see him throw Alguacin Bar on just for the hell of it. Nothing to lose. And do you know what? I'm going to say it. I want Omar Richard. I want to see Omar Richards play at left back.
We might see that. Dimitri, man of the match and coach's grade. You're already man of the stream.
I swear this isn't me. And I don't think it's my missus either. I don't know who it could be. Because Demetrius K has popped up before. It's not his first stream. So it's gonna sound really boring because it sounds like what Costa just said. For me, man of the match by a country mile was Masouras, because that second goal was so fucking sexy, and I refuse to admit that it didn't count. First goal really taken really well. I thought he was a danger really. Two goals in my head. Very easy. Yeah, shout out to Retos as well. I agree. Right, now, coach's grade. This is where it gets trickier for me. Disappointed with the 2 midfielders instead of 3, as we've said. So that's obviously docking points. I get the whole thing that people are not angry, but like annoyed with him making subs late. Like, especially if you read a lot of Greek Olympiacos Greek fan pages, like people that comment on the Red Duckling, for example. That's like one of the biggest ones. Like he tends to be like quite like nothing like sensational. I do, like, he's one of the ones that I like reading, for example, and the comments underneath. But the comments underneath today were going crazy about the subs, right? The subs and how late they are. Do you know what? If you don't trust the people on your bench, why the fuck should he bring them on? And this is something I want to credit the coach for. The second half, we came out a lot better. Like, a lot better. Like, I thought the second half, we fucking had them on the ropes. The only chances they were making is when we were pushing really forward to get that equalizer. Like, they weren't. Like, we were the better. I honestly think we were the better side for the majority of the game, because we were the better side from probably about the 40th minute to the end of the game. So whatever he said to them in that, obviously the goal right before halftime helped. It sort of gave them the push, the office that they needed. But they came out that second half. They tried to sort of, grab the game and fucking go at AEK. So I'd like to think that the coach had something to do with that. So I want to give him some points for that. And I don't want to blame him too much on the late subs, because if you're not happy with the subs, fuck him. Don't even make any at all. Like if you're not trusting them, you don't have to make subs just for making subs' sake. If that making subs for the sake of it, if that makes sense. So what a grade I'd give him is, probably a C plus, B minus sort of grade, because obviously very disappointed with certain things and sort of the capitulation and the shit defending for 2 goals in quick succession. But the turnaround in the second half and how they sort of went about that, I want to give him praise for. So yeah, C plus, B minus, somewhere around there.
Well, I mean, when it comes to my man of the match, I think I've already said it. I'm going to go with Georgios Masouras, and under normal circumstances, it would have been him. He had two important opportunities to score for us, two very big opportunities, and he did just that. He scored for us. I feel like all in all, he put together a good performance down the right wing, if I remember correctly. And when it comes to coach's grade, I think I'm going to shock you here. And honestly, some fans tonight on the comment section are saying that the referee saved Carvalhal. Well, how did they save him if he led a comeback? He technically led a comeback victory. How did they save him? They did the exact opposite, actually, for him. Clear Masouras goal. The second goal was clear as day. The penalty was even clear. I assume Kostas Fortounis wouldn't screw it up like he did with Lamia, because he doesn't tend to miss penalties like Angelos Bassinas, for example, did so with Panathinaikos and the Greece national team. Don't tell me you didn't shit your pants before that penalty kick against Portugal. Don't tell me you didn't shit your pants. I did.
I was 8 years old, bro. I don't understand.
An extra reason why you would shit your pants. Anywho, it wasn't a great game, but he did technically lead a comeback victory in a team that was not built according to him. He didn't have his own players. He didn't have his own preseason. He didn't have any time to do anything with his team, basically just throwing Band-Aids left, right, and center, up and down. And I feel like he's getting too much crap, way too much unfair crap. I'm giving him an A-, because, you know, at the end of the day, it was a comeback victory. This wasn't even a football match. It was a circus. This wasn't a real game that we witnessed over there. We're going to see it again. We're going to see it against Panathinaikos. I am certain of it. And PAOK are going to see it when they play AEK and PAOK. And we're going to see it again in the playoffs. You know, there's still going to be more of that. So, yeah, I'm cutting him some slack. I gave him an F against Lamia. But in this occasion, Carlos Carvalhal led a stunning comeback victory against a very strong AEK, even though he was coaching a team with 1.5 zillion problems. There it is.
I just want to say something. I was just looking at what time the Panathinaikos game is on Wednesday. It's exactly the same time as the Barcelona game, the basketball game. So it's going to be one of those where we have two screens for the ones that watch basketball too. It's literally going to be two screens at the same time. So yeah, that's going to be a tricky one. It's going to be a bit of a piss take.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts then before we wrap this up, guys?
Να τους χαίρεται ο Μελισσανίδης.
What I'm going to say is I mean, it sounds like crazy, but this guy, I swear this isn't me. I swear to God, this isn't me. What I'd say
he knows your address, doesn't he? He knows your address.
We're all pissed off. We're all pissed off and we're all angry. But I know it's easier said than done, but try not to dwell on it. Like tomorrow morning, don't let it affect your week. Don't let it affect your day. Like refereeing decisions really piss you off and it ruins your mood a lot more than your team playing shit because you feel cheated. But yeah, try and don't let it fuck you up. As simple as that, really. Like at least that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go straight to bed and hopefully wake up tomorrow not in a bad mood. So that's what I'll try and say for all of you guys.
Well, I think that's all the time we had. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. Guys, on the comment section, thank you so much for joining us, despite the fact that it's late in quite a few European countries. Thank you so much for joining us, despite of the result, despite of all the shenanigans and all the disgrace that took place at Karaiskaki for the second consecutive time. Let's not forget they did the same. AEK won thanks with the help of the refs at Karaiskaki last season in April. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And please join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gate7intl. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Melissanidi να τους χαίρεσαι. AEK, congratulations on winning the 2023-2024 Super League title. And we are going to see you again soon.